If you're looking for a luxury SUV that's electric but not completely eccentric, this Mercedes EQB might be for you. Now, I've covered the GLB Mercedes a couple different times, and I've got detailed videos on that, so this one's going to focus more on this specific EQB 250 Plus, the EV version. Let's get started. All right, let's take a look at the exterior details of this EQB. Now, keep in mind, this is a 2023 model. 2024 does have some slight refreshments, but everything's gonna be pretty darn similar, and we'll talk about the specs and all of that. So, trim levels, this is the exclusive, which is right in the middle, not the top trim like the Pinnacle, but you pretty much have an airless grille. You know, you've got this electric front end, no air has to pass through. You're still gonna get Mercedes LED headlights, LED turn signals. Everything looks pretty sharp up here, and you've got a massive emblem right there. This EQB has some accents of chrome along with the black, and you've got these pretty flat, kind of boring wheels for this electric model to help with aerodynamics. Those are 18-inch wheels on there. You've got turn signals in the mirror, and overall it's a pretty classy looking vehicle. The EQB still gives us some roof rails up above so you can carry some stuff, and dimensionally it's 184 inches long, so not a big vehicle, but also not quite as small as some compact class or even subcompact. And then you've got LED taillights back here with this LED light bar, the 250 Plus badging. And one thing that this Mercedes really stands out at is at night. I've got a night video showing off the headlights, interior lights, so be sure to check that out. Now, coming to the cargo space, one of the perks of getting an SUV obviously is back here, and Mercedes gives us the hands-free liftgate option as standard with this particular trim. That's a big plus. And you can also use your foot to close it. And another thing I like about Mercedes is this logo actually moves to act as the opener as well. Just like that. Let's take a closer look at cargo space. There are some nice things here. I like this little mesh pocket right there. You've got this, which is basically like a hook. You can sling a grocery bag, little storage area there. You can even put something in that strap to kind of bungee that down. Another hook over here, pretty much copycat on this side. Lift this up. We've got this, but no spare tire, no mobility kit, nothing like that, which is a big bummer. I don't care what kind of tires they put on here, if they're, you know, run flat or whatever, I still want something like that. But there's a little extra storage space here, and you could probably take this foam out and put something down. One thing I really appreciate is the fact that we've got this 40-20-40 split, so you can split the middle. Let me fold these down. It's kind of annoying. You actually have to come to the back and pull a strap in order to get this to come down. And with the car seat, it is tight, but it's pretty flat with this load floor, and you get a good amount of space thanks to its boxy nature. Now, with the smart key system, that is going to be standard. We've got the Mercedes key fob. Everything looks pretty similar right here. There's no remote start on the key fob. You can program this car to remote start or to start with its scheduled departure. You can configure that stuff inside. Sensor in the back to unlock it. This locks it. You've got flash on the mirrors. And these are synthetic seats. It's their MB text. It's not a real leather. So you've got synthetic material here, but they are pretty comfortable. You've got good bolstering right here as well. Some mild bolstering down here, and these are pretty darn soft. You even have this adjustable thigh cushion, which is always welcome as well. And four-way lumbar support down here, that's always nice to see. In addition to that, you got your typical Mercedes adjustments, basically just the seat bottom and the seat back. None of the extras on this one. 3-position memory setting and heated seat on here. No ventilated seat at this price point. The steering wheel is manual tilt and telescoping. It's also heated with the most incognito heated steering wheel button right back there. Now, the back seat might surprise you. First of all, you still get soft materials right here on the armrest. This whole material is nice, definitely Mercedes-esque, and a decent sized bottle holder, and legroom is pretty good. First of all, these seats can scoot forward and backwards. Now we're in the furthest back position. This is where I sit. I'm 5'9". I've got enough knee space right here, some decent foot space. You still get air conditioning vents back here, a little storage area, and you pop that down, you got 2 USB-C ports and a 2-prong outlet. This also comes with the panoramic roof, so it's like a dual pane roof right here, so you get your own in the back seat. And these seats can recline somewhat, so that is pretty good. It's not a ton, but it's still enough to get comfortable. And even sitting upright, my head was not touching. If you don't have this middle entire seat folded, you still get this armrest right here and pop out these little cup holders. Those are kind of cute, but they can actually hold some big drinks. And even though this is the EQB, you know, the B being kind of a more entry-level class, there's still no heated back seats, at least in the US, at this price point, $60,000. Now, let's go ahead and start it up. Foot on the brake, push that, and since it's electric, you don't hear much, but it will have this ready icon when it's actually ready to drive. Now, over on the door, I showed you the controls. You've got this wood trim, which is very nice. Soft materials here, a soft armrest all the way down, and a fall-through grab handle. Does a huge mug like this fit in there? I mean, kind of, but not really. Since I've showed you the GLB a couple of times, I'm gonna be pretty brief in here. The steering wheel is comfortable to hold on to. I like these steering wheel controls versus the kind of two-tiered stacked controls we've seen in some other Mercedes models. Let me know your thoughts below. Of course, you've got this digital display, pretty typical Mercedes. It's not quite as customizable as some of the other ones that they have. You can have full-on gauges. You can change the way that the display looks to some extent on here. I just had the what would you call it, the assistance one, but now I just have the gauges on here. You can scroll through different information in the middle, so a little bit customizable with that, but you can't customize each gauge necessarily like you can in some. And same thing over here, you've got a pretty good sized digital display. It's nothing as extravagant as some Mercedes models, but this is still pretty nice, and it's connected to that one. The Mercedes system, the M-Bucks, is pretty nice, and you have the Hey Mercedes helper on here as well. So if you just say that, you can have this on or off if you just say it, but this is pretty easy to navigate. It's a touch screen. There's 3 different ways that you can use this. So you can touch the screen. You can also control it with the steering wheel, which I like, being able to do that without having to even lift your hand. And down here, you've got this touchpad. So I appreciate the touchpad. It can be kind of finicky sometimes. You've got a couple of shortcuts on here as well. Volume, your drive modes, some home button, back button, all of that, but you can still control it pretty smoothly with that too. And yes, this does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but it takes up a small portion. I mean, the edge of the screen is here and way over there, so it's shrunken down, and it is not wireless. You do have to be plugged in as of right now. The newer Mercedes I've been in, or the rest of the Mercedes I've been in, have been wireless, so I'm a little bit surprised by that. Now down here, my big mug fits, but you cover up some of those climate controls. Still a pretty good setup as far as that goes. These cup holders can be a little bit customized with, you know, different size drinks. This can go down, both can go down. You've got a wireless charging mat right down there, or a little storage mat. USB-C charging port right there, and a 12-volt power outlet here. Coming back, I showed you this touchpad and all the different controls. Let's hit the camera button. So it's kind of funny that you get this camera button because we don't have a 360 camera on this model. You just have your backup camera right here. When you're using this touchpad, your hand can be on here and it's pretty easy to operate. Coming back even more, this split folding armrest has a little bit of padding here, opens up. You've got a couple more USB charging ports in there. Locking glove box down there, some nice trim up here with the wood and the metal. Everything looks pretty good. Auto dimming rearview mirror and the typical Mercedes overhead lights, which are pretty sleek and look pretty nice as well. Easy to operate, plus this panoramic roof, which I showed you earlier. Take a look at that, all the way back. Now, one gripe I had a couple of years ago was with these. Nope, yep, they don't slide. They don't slide out, and you don't have a sliding piece, so boom, you got the sun in your face. Now, under the hood, unfortunately, we don't have a front trunk like you do with some EVs. You just get a whole bunch of hardware right here, and let me tell you about it. So this 250 model's got a 70.5 kilowatt hour battery, 188 horsepower, and 284 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers are definitely pretty low, but with an electric vehicle, it kind of makes up for it because they're surprisingly quick, even though this one doesn't have a whole lot of power. Transmission-wise, things are different. It's a single-speed transmission. It is also one electric motor mounted up front for front-wheel drive. You can move up with the EQB models and get all-wheel drive, but this one, the 250, just front-wheel drive. And you might think, when you don't have a lot of power, you only have front-wheel drive, you got great range. It's only 245 miles. It is a lot, yes, but rarely do you ever get the actual estimated amount, and it just goes down as you add all-wheel drive. Now let's take a quick look at the charging. So you can obviously use just a basic 120 volt plug. Charging doors on the back passenger side. Whoops. There we go. And we've got a couple doors here. You've got your DC fast charging down below, just the regular one up top. But I would definitely recommend getting a 240 volt plug. I've got one in my garage and a charger that goes with that. And it is a game changer. I mean, you can charge overnight. This car in particular, about a full charge in almost 8 hours. Otherwise, you do have 100 kilowatt fast charging speed, and if you go to a DC fast charger, you can do 10 to 80% charge in about 32 minutes. All right, y'all, we are behind the wheel of this EQB, and it feels different than the GLB. The electric vehicles definitely have a different feel about them in terms of the ride quality, and of course, the biggest thing is the noise and the overall acceleration. We'll get on that in a little bit. This one is the lowest tier as far as horsepower and torque. So 0 to 60 is 8 seconds, which is not great for a luxury car or an electric car, but it gets the job done. Now, while we come to a stop here, one thing I want to talk about is the ergonomics. It's really easy to use the screen and see this screen. You can use this control, the touch screen here, or this display controller knob on the steering wheel, or touch the screen. So you're good to go with that. Visibility out of here is also pretty good. It's got this boxier shape, and I'm just comfortable in here overall. One of the biggest things I want to mention and talk about is the drive modes, or the regeneration modes. So right away, I have it in D auto. You control that with your paddle shifters here, and what that means is it's going to automatically control how much regenerative braking you do. Like if I let off the accelerator, we're pretty much just coasting, just like you would. But if I hit that pedal, go to D+, it's a little bit more regeneration. Hit the down pedal, regular D, and then D-. D- is the maximum. So it was slowing me down significantly with that. It's gonna have the car brake as long as you're not accelerating, and it's pretty intense. So if I let off, it starts to brake real quick. Now if I go to D, brakes less, D+, brakes even less. Hold the right paddle down to go to D auto, and then it brakes even less in certain situations. So if I approach a vehicle, or I'm following a vehicle, they're going at a good pace, but they start to slow down, it's going to proactively and automatically start to slow down too. It's kind of like adaptive cruise control in a way, without having cruise control on, but you still obviously have to take control. But in auto right now, we're just coasting like crazy. I'm gonna go to D-, let the car slow me down, just to show you how intense the braking is here, and it's gonna bring me all the way down, unless I hit the accelerator. Now I'm gonna put it back in D auto for the rest of the test drive. Hold the paddle, right paddle down. Let's get some pedal into it. Normal mode, pedal down. So, being an electric car, it's very quick. It's jumpy right off the line, but it is not fast. It does not get you up to speed as fast as many other Mercedes models and many other electric vehicles. It's almost like it's geared towards more efficiency, but it doesn't have the greatest range anyways. So, kind of a lose-lose with that. Now, with our dynamic switch down here, we can put us in eco mode, comfort mode, which is what we've spent most of our time in, and sport mode, which automatically just gives me a little boost. Pedal down. You're gonna get the maximum output in sport mode. It's gonna be quicker. It's gonna be ready to go, faster, more responsive. And this single speed transmission feels just like a typical electric car. It's like you just go. There's no shift points that you feel, nothing like that, and it's been spot on. It's been great and been smooth. You just have one electric motor in here right by this front axle. Now in comfort mode, we're just cruising in D auto, and it coasts pretty much just completely unrestricted. Now, one thing I think I've noticed with this Mercedes is I complained about road noise in the gas GLB. This one seems to be quieter. I don't have the same sound meter to test it, decibel meter, but it seems quieter. We still don't have laminated glass right here. It's just your typical glass, but at least when we're not on rough textured roads, it's quieter for the most part. This does have upgraded sound system. It's not the highest end Burmester audio, but it's still upgraded. Sounds nice for the most part, but this car does get expensive. Something to say about that. It's a good day-to-day EV if you want the Mercedes appeal appeal, some of the features you typically get with Mercedes, because it's very similar to the gas models, but I don't know if it necessarily competes with some other EVs. So to wrap things up on this electric EQB Mercedes, it's still not cheap. It's $60,000. It's not even the top trim here or the top option in terms of their number sequence. It's like their entry-level GLB EV, and it's not cheap. Now here's the thing, if you are familiar with Mercedes, you like Mercedes and you like what this has to offer, and it's not a totally eccentric style of electric vehicle, this might be what you want. But this is a growing field of electric vehicles, and there's a lot of options that might just suit you better. But let me know what your thoughts are down below. I hope you enjoyed the video and have a great day.